And yeah, without further ado, I'm gonna give you the floor, Shorombo, and good luck and
Yes.
enjoy, everyone.
Yes, thank you, Matilda, and welcome everybody. I'm so happy that you all could join. I know that you're busy because otherwise you wouldn't be here. You want to know how to get more out of your time, more productivity, and get more done, right? So I won't take long. I will take an hour. We will go into it very fast and very furious. And what I'm going to teach you is going to be something that you can apply right away. So let's get started. Without further ado, let me pull up my slideshow. All right, so this is the title of this webinar, and it's actually very apt because what you are going to learn is how to prioritize smarter. By doing that, achieve faster and better results, and while keeping your focus. And all of these things, they boil down to the same thing. Because if you are able to focus better, you will sense less overwhelmed because your focus is not scattered and you'll be able to achieve more. All right, so how am I going to do that? Before I get to that, I want to explain a little bit about the method that I'm going to use. Why? Because if you know how it works, it will work better on you. So I'm not the guy that's going to teach you in this webinar how to use certain plugins, tools, software, all of those things. Those are things that are amazing. You have amazing AI tools that can help you now with your productivity, but they are tools. What we really need to focus on is the one using the tools. Because if you don't have the fundamentals, if you don't use them right, no tool in the world, no plugin in the world will save you. So I'm going to focus on the fundamentals, the things that are really going to help you change the way you do things. And those are two things: a new way of thinking, because a new way of thinking will lead to a new way of acting, right? And on top of that, if you have learned a new way of thinking and you know how to act now, you want to systemize it. You want to turn it into a habit. So I'm going to teach you those two things: the mindset, the fundamental mindsets. I'm going to teach you 3 fundamental mindsets that you have to adopt, mindset shifts. Then I'm going to teach you how another way of thinking about time and energy will level up and exponentially increase your output. And lastly, to combine everything and to give you something that you can implement right away and turn it into a habit, I'm going to teach you a routine and a framework that you can easily start applying tomorrow or maybe even today. So my aim for this webinar is to give you something that you can immediately apply and immediately see results. That's always my aim of everything I teach, of everything I do. All right, so you might be wondering now, who is this guy talking to me and why should I believe them? Well, my name is Shorombo. Matilda already explained who I am. I'm a life coach and the founder of Max Your Life Today, which is a platform for everybody who wants to level up, wants to go all in on life. I'm also called a high performance life coach because I focus on people that don't want to settle. They want to go for what they really want. But my overarching mission, if somebody were to ask me, I always answer, my mission is to help as many people as I can live fulfilling lives. And my belief is that if you live your full potential, you feel fulfilled, you'll be more happy and you'll be more healthy, right? I do this in various of ways, through this kind of webinars, masterclasses, online courses, one-on-one coaching, everything basically which lies within my realm of capabilities, I dedicate myself to. And to illustrate a little bit about how that process works, I've listed a few steps because it's easy, it's not simple. So I help them first become aware of their potential, because most people don't know what their strengths are and how they translate into value in the market. I help them get clear on their bigger goals, their life goals. And then we're going to start working on developing mindset, beliefs about you, about the world, about what's possible, and start to figure out the game plan, which you can then implement by by using the success routines and habits that you might have seen on the internet. So that's basically what I do. All right, but enough about me. You're not here to hear about me. You are here, I hope, to get as much out of this hour as you possibly can, right? And I wouldn't be a coach on productivity if I wouldn't help you do that. So what I first want to help you do is set yourself up for success. And what I mean is that you're here, and I know it's very easy and tempting to just listen in and maybe do something else on your phone, or maybe start working on a document on your computer, but that would be a waste of your hour because you're not doing the thing that you're doing with your full focus, and you're not getting the most out of this session. So what I want you to do first is to tune in. That means sit upright and really focus on everything that you see in here. My gestures, my voice, the change of pace, really tune in because you're going to absorb all the information. Secondly, get a notepad, get your iPad, get your pen ready. Why? Because then you're in an active mode. You're listening for things that can help you. Lastly, participate actively. I know this is a webinar, but I have some slides that you can think about and work on. And of course, please, please, please send us all your questions in the question and answer box so that we can address them afterwards. All right. So I hope you're ready. I hope you are excited. Let's go. All right. Oh, this is all. Mathilde already told this. Don't miss out. Stay until the end because we have amazing resources, recording slides. I even created a transcript of this webinar with a manual that you can follow. So please stay until the end. This is something you don't want to miss out. All right. So the first thing I want you to do, I want you to think for a minute about these two questions. Why? Because if you go into the session with those two questions top of mind, you're going to basically look at this session and absorb everything through that lens. So take a minute and just think about what are your main challenges and what would your ideal outcome be? Like, what would you like to achieve? What would you like to improve? And if you like, you can put it in the chat. Maybe it inspires somebody else. And just take a minute. All right, whenever you see this note on the right corner, the notepad, it means that this is a homework assignment or something that you can participate actively in. All right, cool. I hope you're ready. I hope you wrote it down. I hope you got it on top of your mind. Let's go. All right, so as I mentioned, there are 3 mindset shifts that you have to make before or to help you act differently, to help you make different decisions in daily lives. And the first one is that you have to become, you have to shift or cultivate the mindset of a high performer. Well, what does it mean? If you look at most people in your surrounding in daily life, they tend to just want to check off as many items on their list. They're focusing on getting as much done as they can, but they're being busy. They're not being productive. They're just being busy, and they're getting bogged down by the little details, by just checking off as many items on my list. That will not make you a high achiever, and it will make you feel very overwhelmed because you have a lot of things to focus on. You have a lot of things that you want to get done. So it's very counterproductive. A high performer is different. It's very, very different. And this is something that you, by which you can recognize a high performer. A high performer always focuses on the outcome, right? You have maybe heard about the saying, start with why, right? They always know, like, this is the reason why I am doing this. This is why I'm focusing my time on this particular activity. This is why I'm talking to this guy or this girl, right? In everything they do, this question is top of mind. And if you learn to keep that question top of mind, to question everything you do, and to have a clear picture of your outcome, of the thing that you are rewarded for, the thing that you want to achieve now, then basically what you do is you put on different glasses to which you look at the world. And you're gonna see in an instant what are the important things, what are the irrelevant things or trivial things. So prioritizing becomes a lot easier. Saying no becomes a lot easier when you know your outcome. Right. So in this session, there might be people who are employed and there might be people who have their own company. So how do you focus? How do you determine your outcome? But when you are employed, it's actually very easy and simple. You have a role. You've been hired to do a certain task and create a certain outcome. Lots of the time we forget about it and we focus on getting the hours in, right? But you have to do this by yourself. You have to zoom out and think to yourself, what am I hired for? What am I awarded for? What am I judged on? Those are your main outcomes. And that is what should determine what you focus on and what you don't focus on during the day. Well, if you are an entrepreneur, then you have to focus on, of course, a lot of things. But there's always things in your company that will move the needle the most, that will progress your company the most. So if you are an entrepreneur, it's even more important to really think about what is now at this moment my most important thing, my outcome. All right. So first mindset shift, cultivate the mindset of a high performer, focus on outcome. Second mindset shift, focus on what really matters. So if you know what your outcome is, if you know what you want to achieve, if you know what your objectives are, now you can work your way back, right? Now you can start to think about what are those things that will get me the fastest and in the best way possible towards achieving this outcome. That's the brain activity, that's the thought exercise that you have to do next, right? And if you do it in the correct way, this will come out, a high impact activity. So you're asking yourself, what is the outcome that I want to achieve? What am I rewarded for? And then you start to think about all the things that you can do, but not all of those things will have the same impact. So now, next thing, you ask yourself, what are the most impactful activities? What are the things that I can do which have the most impact on achieving my goal? What are the things that will move the needle the most, right? And then when you deduct that, then you come to your high impact activity. And those are the things that you should do. But there's one more distinction to make. Because are these things that you need to do, or are these things that somebody else can do better and should do, right? Because not all your high impact activities are things that you should do. And especially if you are a manager or if you are an entrepreneur, this is a very important question. You have to delegate, but you have to make sure that you delegate high impact activities and that you focus all of your efforts and your time on where you can make the most impact. All right. So that's the second mindset shift. All right. The third one, start seeing time differently. And this is a very, very, very important one. Let's recap for a moment. So now you know your outcome, right? So if you know your outcome, you are able to prioritize in a more effective way. So you're not focusing anymore on doing those trivial things. You instantly recognize that that's not a thing that you should do or should be done at all. What does it mean? It means that suddenly you have freed up time, right? So basically you already won time with the first mindset shift. You discarded all the bullshit, pardon my French. And now you have focused, you know what your high impact activities are. So you have taken the time that you freed and you've reallocated that time to doing your high impact activities. So in a sense, you're already using your time in a better way and you've already created more time to dedicate to the things that matter. So this is already a win. If you already apply those two mindsets in your daily life, you have already won productivity. But there are two ways, and I'm going to first start with this one, but there are two ways to exponentially level that up, to exponentially increase your effectiveness. And the first thing is to learn how to see time differently. So on the left side, you'll see a wallet. So we've all heard about time is money, right? But I'm going to draw a different analogy. We're going to look at a different perspective. All right. So imagine that you wake up every day, and every day you wake up with a full wallet of time money, right? There's coins, there's bills, there's all kinds of things in your wallet or in your bank account, however you want to look at it. So you start your day, you have a full wallet of time money, and during the day, all kinds of things come across that are asking you to spend money. It's your colleague at the coffee machine complaining about the weather, the politics, and the partner. They're asking you to spend time with them. It's the advertisement that it's telling you that there's new shoes and there's a new iPhone and you're interested in you go and follow the breadcrumb. That's something that's asking time. It's that new series on Netflix. It's asking you, please spend those 3 hours in watching me. So during the day, you have the ability to allocate your time. But because you now see time as finite, because when your wallet is empty, your time is up, you have a sense of my time is valuable, it's finite. So, and because you see it as something you own, it's in your wallet, it's my time, now it's yours to give. So no more feeling like time is flying by, no more feeling like people are taking your time. No, nobody is taking your time, because now you have your wallet of time in your pocket and you want to spend it as valuable as you can. So this makes you feel super empowered. So this is basically the summary. Look at money as a finite resource. Every day you wake up with an amount of money. Then during the day, you want to find the opportunities in which to invest your time. Start thinking about investing, not in spending, in the best possible way. And that could be your work, but it also could be friendships or health or downtime, self-care. All right. But your aim is to get as much return on investment on your time. That's the aim. This is my time. And this will definitely lead to better quality of life and results. Because why? With this trick, you're going to free up time that you were normally spending on trivial things that don't add anything to your quality of life or your productivity. So now you have your outcome, you have your high impact activities, you already stopped doing the things that you shouldn't be doing, so you already have more time. And now you're also adding this third mindset shift to the mix. And now you're going to be able to allocate your time in a more effective way. You're going to feel more empowered, more in control. I tell you, this is a powerful one. All right. So we have already done a little bit of a recap. But what I want you to do now is quickly write down those 3 steps. And I want you to write it down in the following way. So at the top of your sheet, you write down the first step. Then you draw an arrow. Then you write the second step. Then you draw another arrow. And then you write the third step. All right? Take a moment to do that. You can also put it in the chat. I'm keeping an eye on the chat while you are working. Everybody's tuned in. Awesome. Being consistent. Gotcha. Distractions. All right. Good stuff. All right. So I hope that you have remembered the steps so far. Right? So by recapping it, you're basically ingraining it already in your being. So that's a good thing. All right. So what were the steps? Let me show you. So the first one was focus on outcome. Know what you want to achieve. Then what things can help me achieve this? So that's brainstorm. The next phase is determine your high impact activities. And now you know how to get more of your time. So now you can dedicate your time to doing those high impact activities. So this is where we are, right? And I already recapped it a few times. So you can take a picture every time I put a camera in the top left corner. this is an important slide. This is one that you want to keep on your phone or maybe put on your desktop, right? It's one that captures everything that we're talking about. So when there's a little camera, pull your phone out, take a little picture. All right. So the 3 mindset shifts. You're already killing it. You're already much, much more effective than your colleague. But there is a way to supercharge this. And I love this one because everything that I'm saying is basically kind of logical if you think about it. But you'll be amazed how few people really implement this. And this one will make sense to you too. And it's an easy one. All right, the way to supercharge everything we've did so far is to take your energy level into account when you're planning your day, right? How does it work? Well, let me say your energy is not created equally, right? So your energy in the morning is different than your energy in the evening. We all know that, right? In the morning, you're excited, you're productive, and in 3 hours, you get stuff done. In the evening, you're laying on the couch and maybe watching 3 hours fly by, watching a movie, right? So time moves differently at different stages of the day. But you also have different levels of cognitive power. So if you are starting to take your energy in account and, for example, dedicate your cognitive power to the things that are most important at the beginning of the day. So, for example, shift that roll call to maybe after lunch and then just block your morning to do those high impact activities, you'll notice something. And I will illustrate it with a little example. All right, so imagine you have this thing. It's something that requires you to focus. It's something that requires you to creatively think about stuff, right? Maybe look something up. It's not an easy autopilot thing. So you want to have about 1.5 hours of dedicated time to focus on it. So you look at your calendar, you're like, you know what? I'm going to do it in the morning. So you do it in the morning, first thing in the morning, you're fresh, your mind is fresh, and it feels like everything is flowing and you're actually enjoying the process because you're coming to great insights and you're making great progress. And after 1.5 hours, you feel amazing because you get so much done and you're very proud and happy with the result. All right, now look at scenario 2. In this scenario, you'll do the same thing, but you decide to do it at 3 o'clock. Right, 3 o'clock, all the things that you had to do, you're done. So now you have time free to dedicate yourself with a full dedication and focus. All right, so now you're doing it at 3 o'clock, 1.5 hours, and you notice that it takes so long to get in that momentum. You're distracted, your mind is distracted. It seems like it's not flowing, the ideas is not coming. And after 1.5 hours, you have barely gotten anything done. You're super frustrated because now you know you have to start and do it tomorrow again, or maybe even finish it in the evening. So in both cases, you spent 1.5 hours. But in the morning, you got much more output and much more results out of that 1.5 hours than in the evening. It's the same amount of time, but now your time is double the worth in the morning. So if you start to marry your high impact activities to the optimal days when your energy is good, and it might be in the morning, might be in the evening, that's up to you to find out. But if you keep that in mind, and if you try to keep your schedule in line with your optimal energy and marry those high impact activities, you're gonna get more out of your time. Right? So this is an extra layer you can put on top of your time. You're already using your time more effectively. You're already freed up time by thinking differently, but now you're also gonna squeeze everything out of that hour that you got, right? This is also what I do. I always dedicate my creative stuff in the morning because I know it flows and things start to flow even more, right? So this is one thing to keep in mind. Perform your high impact activities at the times of day when your energy is optimal. All right, cool. So this is a resume. If you combine high impact activities with free more time and do them at the times that your energy is high enough, is optimal, then you have best use of time. And that's that's what you want to strive for. All right, so I'm sorry, I'm going through this very, very quickly. I hope you're all getting this. I hope you're all still on board. We have just an hour, right? And normally I take more time for these kind of stuff. And I want to share with you everything I got. And I want to get to those routines, because with those routines, you are going to be able to implement all that we learned. All right, let me take a little sip of water first. All right, so where are we now? You now focus on the outcome, right? We imagine now you're a different person. You focus on the outcome. You allocate your time to things that really matter. You're more selective about how you spend your energy, about what you say no to, what you say yes to, and you take your energy level in account, right? This is the person that you want to be. But knowing all of this will not make it so. Right? This is the biggest pitfall that I see in any of my clients and in everybody around us. We live in the digital age. So knowledge is easy to come by, right? You can read a book, you can listen to a podcast, you can watch a webinar or do an online course. Knowledge is very easy to come by. Where most people struggle is how to turn that knowledge into a new way of being. Because in most cases, knowledge is the first step, but now you need to turn it into something you do consistently on a daily basis. And it's insane, but I got to tell you, most people fail at this part. Why? Because we haven't been taught to do this. In school, you were taught to accumulate knowledge, and were taught to regurgitate knowledge on your exam. Like, this is what I know. Good job. Here's a 10. So we haven't really learned how to think about how am I going to apply this. So what I want to give you is one sentence that I want you to use whenever you are in a learning situation, whenever you've read a book, whenever you feel inspired. And that's, how am I going to integrate this into my life? Ask yourself that question, and don't let yourself off the hook before you have answered this question into detail, into something that you can start doing right away as of tomorrow. And that's what I'm going to help you do. All right. But keep that question in mind, because I'm sure that you learn a bunch of stuff every single day, that you listen to podcasts, webinars about things you want to maybe improve. So train yourself to always follow up with this question. All right, let's get back and let's get going. How do you apply everything that you have learned so far? Well, basically, it comes down to two things: a framework and a routine. A framework is more like a system. I have a whole system of how you can keep track of all your to-dos, how you can schedule them in your calendar, how you can keep track on them on your phone, how you can keep track on what you've done, all of those things. That's a framework, that's a system. But a system is worthless if you don't have a routine. Right, in this session, I don't have enough time to dive into the system, but I do have time to explain to you the routine. And the routine is something that you can immediately start applying. All right? All right, so the first thing I do with my clients when I do this is to help them create a week template. All right, so what is a week template? Week template is basically a thought exercise. So think about your ideal week. So you get into the mindset, I'll ask you, all right, if you could design your week any way that you like, so that you can get the best out of yourself, so that you can produce the best results that you want, so that you can stay balanced, stay centered, how would your week look like? Just start with a blank canvas like this, right? And we're focusing on work, of course, but you can do this in the whole context of your life. But if we're talking about work, you just look at Monday to Friday, you think about your high impact activities, your outcomes, you think about your obligations like meetings, those kind of stuff, and you start to move them around until you have a week template that is ideal. So don't think about If you can switch the meeting, that's the next step. But just think about, if it were up to me, how would I design my week? What would I do at what specific times? So I use Google Calendar. I create a blank calendar, so it's white, and then I'll make blocks for everything. And I color code them. For example, in this case, the yellow one is deep work, things that I want to dedicate more hours in consecutive order. The purple one on Friday is marketing, online marketing and content creation, because I want to have a whole day to just like immerse myself into it. I, of course, have coaching clients. I want to have them in the morning, right? So I have them on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Of course, I also need to do acquisition and marketing. So those are the red ones. So you can color code it so that you can easily see, is my balance off, right? And then you start to move things around. It's like a puzzle. That's why I like to use Google Calendar, because you can move things around. Keep moving things around until you feel this is it. This is how I would love to live my weeks if it were up to me. And that's going to be your goal. That's going to be your intention. You're going to want to try to recreate it as much as you can every single week. And don't be rigid about it. Of course, your life is fluid, and of course, not everything is possible, but it's something to live up to. Now you're intentional about how you live your ways, right? And that's the whole point. The point is to have you think about your energy levels, to have you think about your high impact activities, to have you to think about what are the things that recharge me. For example, I have lunch, you see, I have workouts in there. So all of those things. All right. So now you have your week template, right? You know how you would live your ideal week. Now you need to start using your calendar to plan your days. And from experience, I know that most people, it's still true, most people use their calendar for obligations with other people, right? For dentists, there's a meeting in there, there's a birthday I have to go. That's like a traditional use of your calendar. But what I would recommend to you is that you also put in your calendar the promises that you make to yourself. And those are the things that you want to do every day. So your to-dos, they need to be in your calendar in some way, right? So you schedule your Monday, you think about, what do I want to do today? All right, this is the thing that will move the needle most. I'll put it in at the morning, because at 10:30 I have my roll call, right? So at the end at the beginning of the day, and this is important, start your day with planning. You have a plan of attack for your day. All right, so this is so important thing is to do it at the start of your day. All right, I'll get back to that, but that's very, very important. Stop starting your day with looking at your calendar or looking at your phone. I always say, before you open the curtains to the world, you have to have made a plan, right? So I make my plan, I review my calendar, and then I'll open my email or my phone, and I'll say, hi world, I'm ready for you because I have a plan. If you don't do it like that, you'll be reactive. If you do it like that, you have a plan. So you'll be intentional, you're proactive. Makes a big difference. So planning, if you want to get stuff done, if you want to become more productive, this is a must-have success habit. Use your calendar to plan your to-dos. All right, so again, there is a little camera in the left corner. So this one is important. This one is the routine. So this is what happens. You have made your weekly template, like your week template. You know how your ideal week looks like. But now you have to start to live it, right? So every day of every week, at some point of the week, you'll pick a moment to reevaluate your week, to look back, reflect, evaluate, and then design the upcoming week. So in my case, I do it on the Sunday. I plan my business activities and I plan my personal activities in one go. If you are at the office, I would say take Friday. Take Friday to close off your week, evaluate, move all the to-dos to the next week, and then design your week. So put your to-dos in your week. Schedule those meetings in your week. And before you finish the day, before you go to the Friday drinks, you already have your ideal week planned. So now all you need to do when Monday comes, you'll open up your calendar before you open up your email or your text messages. You look at your calendar and you're like, oh yeah, this is my plan. Is this still my plan? Is this still the thing that I want to do? Is it still the thing that's important? Yes, you give it an okay and you go to work. Then at the end of the day, you come back and you evaluate and you say, is this what I promised myself to do? Did I do it? Did I finish it? So it's a learning exercise. It creates a learning moment, and it also gives you an opportunity to plan and adjust your plan for the coming days. So you create a circle, a feedback loop, right? And this feedback loop is super important. This is called a daily reflection routine. And you might notice when we about personal development, right? This is also a personal development thing, but it works the same way on work. It creates a feedback loop. It keeps you top of mind. It keeps you focused on your outcome. It teaches you on where you procrastinate. It teaches you where you may be overconfident about your skills, about how fast you can do stuff, right? So you start learning every single day. How powerful is that? All right, so this is a routine. All right, but we're not there yet, because still what I just taught you is something you can start to apply, but it's actually still knowledge. So we need to go a step further still. All right. You need to turn it into your reflection routine. You need to start thinking about, how am I going to do it? And that's the last question that you need to ask yourself. See how important it is to keep asking you that question, how am I going to integrate it into my life? And that's the one that we're going to finish with. All right. And this is going to be homework. I hope you have taken pictures of all the slides. Of course, if you fill in the feedback forms, you're going to receive all the slides. You're also going to receive a written version of this so that you can read it and dissect it. But I hope you've already engaged with it. All right. So are you ready? These are the questions that I want you to ask yourself to design your daily routine, right? This is always how I do it. Whenever I want to create a new habit, I think to myself, what time of day is the best day to do this? So if we're talking about the daily reflection, so there's two moments of the day. First, to plan. Second, to evaluate. So what time of day are you going to plan? Where are you going to do it? How are you going to start the day? Are you going to do it on your way in the train, for example? Are you going to stop by your favorite coffee place and just sit for a moment there and review your planning before you go to the office? Or do you go to the office and start up your computer and do it there? Maybe you even do it at home. So get really granular about it. Get into detail. Why, when, what time, where, and how. All right, that's the question. The first question that I want you to ask yourself. Design your routine so that tomorrow you know what you're going to do, you know when you're going to do it, you know how you're going to do it. Second one, how are you going to keep track during the day, right? Because it's good and all that you start with a plan of attack, but you might want to keep tabs of if you are following your plan. So think about it. And I know for sure that you are going to come up with solutions. If you ask this question, you're going to come up with easy solutions, right? I'll give you one. If you are worried that you go off track, then build in an extra moment to evaluate. Put it in a reminder in your phone, like review your planning. It's easy, right? Just build in an extra moment of evaluation. All right. So then the next one, when and at what time of the day are you going to evaluate and review your day? Why is this important? Because at the end of the day, most people come and they're like, I want to finish this, and then they're finished, and then they want to run off home, right? So if at that point you're like, oh shit, I need to evaluate and review my day, and you know what? Screw it, I'm gone. That's what's going to happen. So you need to schedule this. You need to create time. You need to think about it. So for example, maybe you stop at 4:30. 4:30, you decide, I'm done working. No more new stuff, no more emails. I'm going to dedicate myself to reviewing my day, evaluating my day. I'm going to take about 15 minutes to do that. And then I'm going to plan my day. I'm going to wrap it. I'll put a little bow tie on it. And I'm done with the day and I'm ready to get started tomorrow. So I'll go home. I'm feeling super calm, super in control because I know exactly where I'm at and I know exactly what I'm going to do tomorrow. Right? So think about that too. Think about what is the perfect moment for you to do it? What are the perfect circumstances for you to do it? And how are you going to do it? All right. So the last bit, of course, is how are you going to ensure that you're going to follow through on this new habit, right? We've all started habits and then fallen off the wagon. So this question you need to ask yourself, like, how am I going to ensure that I don't fall off the wagon? Or when I do fall off the wagon, how am I going to get back on the wagon, right? Start thinking about those things because you can anticipate them. Maybe you put something in your calendar. Maybe you create a deal, an accountability pact with your colleague, right? Maybe you decide on doing a weekly evaluation session together. Create structures that will keep you on the path. All right. So I think we have come to the end. Let me see, what time is it? Oh, we're so on time. All right. So the last thing that I want you to do is write down 3 things that you are going to do after this masterclass. And I know this might feel like a school thing. You might feel resistant, like, yeah, I'll do it later. No, do it now. Write down 3 things. You can write them down in like words. You can write them down in whole sentences or paragraphs. I don't matter. I don't care. Write down 3 things that you promise yourself to do after listening or watching this webinar. All right, take a moment. You can also put it in the chat if you want to create an extra accountability or if you want to inspire somebody else, right? Because your commitments might be an inspiration to somebody else, right? So what are the 3 things you will do after this masterclass? Angie says, color my agenda blocks. Daniel says, make a weekly schedule, assign high impact activities for every day to do in the morning, and share and discuss plans with my spouse. I like it. I like the 3rd one. Look into your Google Calendar, make weekly schedules, have lunch. Oh, I love that one, Sky, because I tell you, most people forget to schedule lunch, right? But lunch is kind of important. Also, keep white space in your calendar. You want to have time to grab that coffee if you run into a colleague that you want to talk to, right? Val says, I was already doing color blocking, but was lacking the reviewing part. Ah, I like it. I like it. Reviewing, evaluating, super important. Buy a planner, schedule 3 tasks, 2 fun things. Also good. Make sure you have things that you enjoy, especially in your company. Make sure you also schedule the things that you enjoy, not the things you just have to do. Charlie says, plan in time for this afternoon to plan next week. Awesome. I like it. This is something I always say to my clients. I say, what are you going to do next? And they'll answer, I'm going to put it into my calendar, right? Those commitments that you make, they need to put in your calendar. You need to put them in your calendar. When are you going to write down your daily routine, for example? Read my notes. Yep. That's also something that needs to be in your calendar. Cool. Awesome. Angie's gonna plan every Friday afternoon before Friday drinks. I think that is great because then you also have something to celebrate. Jeanette says, start my agenda again. It really helps. Yep, I'm wondering why you stopped doing that. So maybe that's also something to reflect on. Like, how can I prevent that I fall off the wagon again and stop using my calendar? There's probably something in there. Adding my workout and coffee time I have in the morning. Yep. Benedict says, review and replan my week of today. Nice. That's action. That's massive action. Plan my ideal week for next week. Schedule time to review the day. Yeah, again, put them in your calendar, my friend. Just recurring task in your calendar every day, 4:30. It's in your calendar. There's a pop-up. I can't forget. Dion, I like it. She's gonna, or he is gonna determine when my energy is at the highest level. Be more selective with my time. Learn to say no, right? If you have your outcome clear, and if it's job related or life related, if you know what is important to you, it's gonna be easy to say no. And especially in this world where everything is possible, where there's so many opportunities, if you know your values, if you know the things that are important to you, you're not going to be led off your path, because you're going to know. It's going to be easy to say no. Juan Carlos says, define my outcome for 2024. Oh, he's already doing goal setting. I like it, my friend. Define my habits and tools to apply, and define my time, money spending for every week. So he's taking it even more macro. He's taking his year goals and then distilling them into habits and then in daily things to do. Let me see. Jeanette, one more. Was going with flow, but I missed a few things and I felt disorganized. Yeah, so what I would do is to create some time to organize yourself, right? So dedicate some time just doing that, getting back into that flow, right? But you have to have a little space and time to do that. All right, so what do you think, Matilda? Shall we go into the Q&A?
Yes, I think so. Thank you so much for everything. Great
Awesome,
tips.
yeah.
I also took a lot into consideration. I'm also trying to upskill my time management.
Awesome, awesome, yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much for that.
Don't worry. I know I went through it super fast because I have a lot to share and I want to share with you. So everything that I shared, I've written down. And if you fill out the feedback form and you would keep an eye on the emails, you're going to be able to download basically a manual of everything that I said to you. So that's a way of just taking your moment and reviewing it at your own pace.
Yeah, that's great. And Nikki will share now in the chat the feedback form. So yeah, to everyone, don't forget to fill it in. I'm also going to take into account the resources that you send, because I definitely also want to keep working on this. I think there's always improvement to happen in this area of your life. We do have a couple of questions.
Yeah, just before we start, like anybody who wants to connect, LinkedIn is the best way for me to connect, and you can scan the QR code and read more about what I do. All right, Matilda, fire away.
Yes, so Gregory asks, is the second question about what you would like to achieve in relation to the challenges we identified with the first question?
Again, can you repeat the question?
Is the second question that you asked initially about what you would like to achieve in relation to the challenges we identified in the first question?
Yes, yes. So I would not reframe them as challenges, right? Because not all challenges are worth it. Like they're not always the thing that you need to do. Sometimes it's also about like identifying which challenges really to focus on. But yes, so if you're talking about this is my challenge, this is the one thing I want to solve, for example, then the second step is what are the things that can help me solve this in the best possible and fastest way. So yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it makes sense, everything to be correlated.
Mm-hmm.
So Sarah asks how I determine how much time, money do I have for the day, and how much I spend on different things. And this is something I've been reading the questions, and there's a lot of questions related to prioritizing. So how do you prioritize, what's most important to spend your time and energy on? And
yeah. So these are two questions. So prioritizing comes down on the two mindset shifts: knowing your outcome, determining your high impact activities. If you know your outcome, you will know your high impact activities. So maybe spend more time on thinking about that outcome and then start doing. But the other question is about how do I know how much time I have during the day? How much time, money do I have? And how do I know how long something will take? And these are questions that are always asked when I'm doing this with clients. My answer is, this is gonna be training. So if you do the reflection every day, you're gonna notice that you are very optimistic about what you can do in an hour. Everybody thinks they can get a lot done in half an hour, for example. So everybody's going to run into the fact that they have overscheduled. So, but if you review and evaluate your day every day, you're going to notice that you're overscheduling, and that you're overscheduling because you are underestimating the time that you have to spend. So then you have an opportunity to learn. So for example, in my case, replying to an email like very thoroughly might look in my head like a 10-minute, 15-minute task. In reality, it's more like 30 minutes. And I know now. So I schedule, if I have an email which has body, which I need to think about, I'll schedule half an hour. Another thing that you can do is time tracking. So I have a time tracking plugin. It's called Toggle. And I track, when I have my thing in my calendar, I put it on play and it starts running. And it helps me to review how long do I really take on doing this. I budgeted 1.5 hours, but this thing took 3 hours, right? Is it that I procrastinated? Is it that I lose track, or did I not budget my time correctly? So this is a process of reflecting, evaluation, and learning. The second question, or the first question about time, money, how much do I have, is also something that you have to start experiencing. But in general, people think they have 8 hours a day of being productive on, like, at the job. It's more half. It's more like 4. So don't schedule your day as if you have 8 hours. Schedule your day as if you have 4. So leave white space. A good check is to look at your calendar and see if you have white space. If there's all blocks that are like stacked onto each other, there's no white space, there's no lunch, there's no nothing, I guarantee you're going to feel stressed out, because there's no way you're going to finish that all. So yeah, practice.
Yeah, I think it's learning how to be a bit more realistic with ourselves, right? I really relate to this about being a bit unfair with me sometimes, and planning my schedule like I'm a machine. I'm not going to stop for 8 hours straight, which is just unrealistic. And then I'm just setting myself up for disappointment with myself. And
you're going to use your energy. We talked about energy. So if you do that, you probably get less done in that 8 hours than if you were to do it at another time in 4. Because at the end of the day, for example, if you are studying, people study in the evening, they're tired and they're like, oh man, tomorrow I have my exam, I'll study until 11. I've never done that, because I know that if nothing is going to enter my mind from now on. So it's not useful. I better do 1 hour in the morning, and sleep. So but if you do this routine every day, you will learn every day. So you'll become better every day.
Yeah, a lot of A/B testing with this as well.
A/B testing, exactly. Yeah, with yourself.
Great. Next one is, in terms of high impact activities, how do I balance between long-term and short-term impact activities?
Yeah, this is a very good question. So I alluded to having a system. So I have a system. It's a Trello board to keep track of my long-term objectives, like projects that take like weeks or something. And I have a master to-do board where everything is in. So my biggest goals are in my calendar, in my project, and my milestones are in my to-do board. So every day, every week, when I do my weekly design, I'll first look at the big rocks, they call it, like the milestones, to remind myself, like, oh, these are the things that I'm working on now. So these are the things that, so for example, this week, it was this webinar. This was important. So this was the most important thing, preparation, everything that had to do with this webinar. But there's also things that are inherent to my role or inherent to my function or to my position. Those are also high impact activities, but those are ongoing, right? There is a difference between those. So if it's longer term, if it's ongoing, it's easy because they're recurring activities. If it's project-based, then you have to keep on top of mind by having a project board and having your milestone top of mind when you're scheduling.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think it's also important, at least for me, to always include short-term impact, because it's what gives me motivation to keep going on the long-term ones, right? Because of the instant reward.
Yeah, definitely. And
Yeah.
there's a little trick that I use. A lot of people get overwhelmed by big goals, and the solution is super simple. Just divide them up into steps. Work your way back. Like, this is the big thing I wanna achieve. So the first thing you need to do is create a game plan.
Mm-hmm.
This, and I always do it. I call it thinking on paper. I'll get a paper out. I'll write the outcome at the top, and then I'll draw lines down to see the correlation, to see the process. And then at the end, I'll arrive at the first step, and that's called the next action. So focus on the next action, and then the next action, but know the path.
Yeah. Yeah. Those are great tips. I'm
Mm.
taking notes.
Good.
Anatole asks, what are your experiences with the Pomodoro technique?
None. I do use it. But I don't use the Pomodoro timer. I do use the premise of working in blocks of 90 minutes. I just don't need a timer. So whenever I have a deep work thing, for example, creating the manual for the download, for example, that's creative. I need to think, I need to write. I'll put it in my calendar. I know it's going to take twice 90 minutes because I have experience. I put it in the morning, then I'll think about, I'll review it in the evening. And at some point, I'll get saturated. So I feel in my body and in my mind that it's time to take a break. And usually it's 90 minutes. So I have like a built-in timer nowadays. So
Biological clock already.
yeah, but it's a good tool to, if you don't have that yet. So if you need a reminder, and if you are apt, or if you are susceptible to losing focus, it can help. I have all kinds of ways of protecting my focus. For example, when I work in my browser, I only work on the windows that are related to the thing I'm doing now. Very important. And you have ways of grouping all the open tabs that you were working on, but when you're working, open only the tabs that you're working on now. So there's ways of protecting your focus.
Yeah, I do that a lot. I just close all the tabs, so it's too overwhelming for me to have that much open sometimes.
Yeah, you're constantly taking it in, and your mind, your brain is still keep thinking like, what is this? Oh yeah. It's awful. There's no way you can do any good deep work that way.
Yeah. I believe you've kind of entered this already, how you implement high performance into the act of building a habit. And does high performance have a compounding effect?
Definitely. So yes, it has a compounding effect. So I'm a big picture thinker. So what it means is that I always zoom out. I look at the big picture. So a lot of the things that I teach are meta habits, habits that you can apply on different things. So for example, I explain to you the question that you need to ask yourself after you learn something. How am I going to integrate it into my life? That's a habit, and it's an easy habit. But if you do it, it has a compounding effect on everything that you do in your life, right? Because now you're going to read that book, and now you don't need to read 5 books to get the point. Now you just need 1 or 2 and are starting to live it right away. And this also applies to work, for example. Another one is a daily morning routine. Same thing. If you do the morning routine is basically a container of a few habits. So in my case, it's movement, meditation and learning and inspiring. So I do some like exercise in the morning, which benefits my health. I'll do meditation, which makes me more mindful during the day, and what makes me more aware of what is going on in my mind, in my body, and my heart. And I'll do something that inspires me, that gets me in the right vibe for the day. So that might be listening to a podcast, reading an inspirational book, or journaling or writing. So if you have that tiny habit, it will change everything in your life, because it's something you do every day, and it's 3 areas of your life. So yes, definitely yes.
Yeah, I think when people think of high performance, the problem is that we don't associate with tiny task, we associate with something that's going to take all our energy out and will most likely then in the long term result in a burnout and not in a compound effect. But
yeah, that's a good point. And I wanna put high performance in a different context. So there's a reason why I call myself high performance life coach, because I don't care about the traditional way of high performance. What high performance means to us is getting the most out of your life, which means we have to think about things like connection with others. We have to think about health, but we also have to think about, are you fulfilled by what you're doing? We have to think about your wealth, financial freedom. So it's a very holistic way, but what we want to do is we want to create a lifestyle that supports you so that you can be the best Matilda you can be, right? So put the right fuel in your car and it will perform at the highest level. Your lifestyle is your fuel.
Yeah, that's true. I think it's just a miss.
Yeah, definitely. When I do another workshop, I always ask this question: what is your association with high performance? Because this is something that people get wrong. Yeah,
I think it's the most common association is that, it's just over giving all our energy for one task.
Yeah, unbalanced. Yeah.
Lucy asks, any tips on how to quantify and measure any tips how to quantify or measure time, money, and or energy? What is a good unit to use?
That is a very good question. How would I do that? A unit for energy and time. I think I wouldn't be able to quantify it. I'm much more of I feel. So what I would recommend is that you develop that feeling. So in my case, like I mentioned, when I'm doing a deep work exercise or deep work, at some point I feel like there is a turning point. Now my energy, my effort becomes heavier. Now the ideas stop flowing. Now I become anxious. And I've learned that that's a signal. It's a signal that I'm getting overwhelmed, that I'm getting overstimulated. So it signals me to take a break, right? The same goes for at the end of the day. At some point, I'll feel like, you know what? There is no point on doing this anymore because my cognitive energy is spent. So it's much more of a feeling question. So in this case, what I would say is meditate. And why? Because meditation is basically training in awareness. So you meditate, what do you feel? Your body. What do you hear? All of the thoughts that are going to you. What do you sense? Anxious, anxiety, frustration. But the point is that you are aware of it. And when you do it long enough, you start to make distinctions. And now you're like, oh, this is frustrated. Oh, this is related to, this is what I'm doing, right? So that's what I would do.
Yeah, I've heard a very good sentence about meditation, which is, imagine your mind is this jar with water and dirt on it. And basically when you're feeling overwhelmed, it's like if you shake the jar and it's just, you cannot see anything true. And then meditating is letting the dirt settle. And then you can actually start seeing clearly. And when I started thinking of things that way, then I realized, okay, it's not that hard. I just have to make a mind map. I have to organize myself and everything will become way more clear.
Yeah, I think that's like lots of people when they feel overwhelmed, they try to push a little harder. But lots of times the best thing to do is to do nothing.
Yeah.
And focus on doing nothing. But it feels difficult because your mind is like in a high adrenaline state. It wants to go. It's like go, go, go. And especially if you're stuck. Like I burned out like 10 years ago. And after burning out, I realized that I had been stuck 5 years in adrenaline mode.
Yeah.
But after I burned out, that's when I realized like, oh, wait a minute, there's a whole other mode. And that's called relaxation.
Yeah.
So getting out of that mode, the fight and flight mode, might be the solution to what you're trying to solve, or might be the thing that you need to see the next step.
Yeah, very true. It's also important to learn how to relax and take a step back sometimes.
Definitely, yeah.
We're a bit over time already, so I think we're gonna have to wrap it up here. But there were a couple more questions left, so please do not hesitate and contact Shorombo and LinkedIn. because I'm
Yeah.
sure he'll like to answer the rest of your questions and get in contact with you. So don't forget to scan the QR code. Yeah, once again, thank you so much for joining us and giving us all these practical tips. I think it was very rewarding for everyone, and thank you everyone for joining.
Yeah.
Yeah, we hope to see you soon. Do not forget to fill in the feedback. It's always important for us also to improve our webinars, and everything will be shared with you.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for making this possible, Matilda, and also Nikki, of course. And thank you guys for hanging in there. I saw that you're all hanging in there until the end. So I am very proud. I'm super happy because I wanted to give you something that you can implement. And if you have questions, like I am always on for this kind of stuff. I love this stuff. I could keep talking forever about this stuff. So if you have any questions, don't hesitate and sending me a message. Like you won't bother me. I'm not a scary guy or something. So use your opportunity and just send me your questions.
Yeah. Thank you so much, everyone. And I hope you have a great week.
Yeah. See ya. Bye.
Thank you.